This is what everyone has been waiting for, the Federal Reserve to start dropping interest rates. So they did their first interest rate cut of 0.5% last month, and they are expected to make 2 more rate cuts in November and December of this year. So how can you prepare and make sure you are asking your lender the right questions, and so you're not locking in a rate and then a month or 2 later, rates drop again? So let's talk about things you should be discussing with your lender now and the questions you should be asking and some of the websites you should be following. So first, I'm going to start off with the websites. I love 2 websites for interest rates, national and local. So the first one is Mortgage News Daily. Mortgage News Daily gives you the average mortgage rates, and they'll have them for FHA loans, VA loans, and conventional loans. And they'll do 15-year averages as well as 30-year averages. So I like to use this, especially on my lives, because I have people coming from various states, but this gives you a basic average of what's happening around the nation. And then for more local mortgage rates, I like to use the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. So this website, you can put in your state and they will tell you what the average mortgage rates people are getting in your state. So put in your state and you'll see the average. So both of these websites can give you a general idea of the rates that you should be hearing, and the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, they give it to you even by credit score. So you could change the credit score and they'll tell you what rates they're getting. So I want you to bookmark these 2 websites. And this is something that can be very helpful to you as you start the mortgage process. Now, let's talk about the 3 questions I want you to ask your lender. Number 1 is please explain the rate lock process. It's like a number 1A and B. So please explain the rate lock process. So again, you're going to look at those websites, kind of get a general idea of where mortgage rates are. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to show you another tool, another website that I like that's going to help you determine whether it's a good time to lock your rate or not. So number 1A is please explain the rate lock process. And this process can vary a little bit by lender. So you want the lender to explain the rate lock process to you, because when you do your initial application, whatever the interest rate is on that day may not be the interest rate that is going to be when you actually go under contract and you're ready to close on your home. So at some point during your home buying process, you're going to have to lock your rate. And again, so it's going to be, they call it floating. Your interest rate is floating until you lock it. Typically, what starts the rate lock conversation is when you go under contract on a home, and then you'll have some more conversations about when you can lock your rate. And a lot of times, if you don't say anything to your lender will lock the rate for you in many cases. So you want to have these conversations up front and not after you're under contract. So 1A is please explain the rate lock process. Now, 1B is if I lock my rate. So say that you've been floating and it's at 5.75, and then it goes to 5.8 and 5.6, all during your home buying process. You go under contract and you say, I want to lock my rate. And the rate that day is 5.75. And so you lock that rate. But then it takes you about 4 weeks to close. And then you see that rates are now at 5.25. Now what's going to happen? Am I stuck with the 5.75? Or can I get my rate, to go down to that 5.25? Again, this is going to vary by lender. So again, you want to have this conversation up front. So 1B is, if I lock my rate and rates drop, what are my options? Now, some lenders are going to tell you that it's going to cost you to drop that rate from the 5.75 to the 5.25. So you want to have that conversation. Now, what you could do, and most lenders know you could do this, is you could say, hey, I'm going to leave you, lender, at 5.75 if you don't allow me to drop my rate to the 5.25, right? And I'm going to go to another lender that can give me the 5.25. But what they also know is you're under contract. And usually contracts have deadlines and timelines. So it's going to be very hard for you to switch lenders at that point. That's why it's so important to have these conversations up front. You want to know. And I've found in my experience, there are a lot of lenders that allow you to float down. They'll call it floating down your rate. They'll allow you to float down your rate with no charge. But again, ask and have those discussions. And you're getting 3 quotes. If you watch my channel, then you should know you're going to get these 3 quotes. So you're going to have these conversations with all of the lenders and find out exactly how they do things. All right, so that's 1A and 1B. Number 2 is, what credit score range gives me access to the lowest rates available? Okay, so it's not that if you have a 685, you are probably going to get the same rate as if you had a 690 or a 680 or a 670, right? There's ranges that lenders have that generally when you get to that threshold, that next threshold up, then you might be able to access a lower interest rate. So you want to, because a lot of people struggle, I'm going to wait till I increase my credit score, and then they increase it and pretty much you were getting the same rate that you got, 10-point difference, 15-point difference. It doesn't really matter. So you want to know like what ranges will give me the lowest interest rate. So ask that question. Let me say it again. Number 2, what credit score range gives me access to the lowest rates available? You want to have that conversation with your lender. Number 3, if I find a better rate, because remember you're getting these 3 quotes, and I'm going to tell you the videos and the sites that I want you to access after this. If I find a better rate and lower fees, will you match those rates and fees? So it could be that you want to really use one of these lenders, but somebody else is offering you something better. You want to know if they will match the other person's, dollar for dollar, point for point, all of that. If you're not sure what those things mean, I'm going to give you 3 like little homework assignments after this, other videos you should watch. You should watch my points video. You should also watch Never Use These Types of Lenders. And then lastly, you should watch my video about getting multiple quotes. So those 3 videos I want you to watch even before you go ahead and, start asking these questions. Then you're going to be more knowledgeable and know what you're talking about before you talk to the lender. Because when lenders know what you have, at least some knowledge of the process, they're more likely to take their time and explain things to you. But if you don't ask, they may never explain it to you, and they just kind of go about their business and do what they typically do without educating you about their process. So I definitely want you to do that. Watch these 3 videos next as you get ready to maybe take advantage of these lower interest rates as we end 2024 and get into 2025. I'm Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and any questions, please ask in the comments. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Last thing, I promise, if you watch to the end, I said that I was going to give you one website that I want you to use for knowing if you should lock your rate. I'm going to post it in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.